Hello, wonderful teachers. Have you ever had that moment when someone looks at you in a crowded conversation and says, "Ask her, she's the teacher," as if we're supposed to know more than anyone else, as if we are the local Google? In my last video, I showed you some teacher identities in action. They were a small representation of teachers like you who are currently doing what they can to give quality education to children during this pandemic. Now, I want to come back to teacher identity and how it is constructed. We've spoken a little about values, and I invited you to consciously take on the value of self-respect. I hope that some of you have been doing that. And in this video, I want to give you another reason for increasing your self-respect. Of course, teachers know stuff. We spend 12 years of our lives at school, and then another 4 after that absorbing information so that we can teach it. 16 years of learning content. And we are so busy teaching that we seldom stop to think about how much we really do know, and about so much more than content. In the 1980s, a man called Schulman first talked about the knowledge bases of teachers. He separated the kinds of knowledge that we have into 7 categories and then investigated each one of them. The first is content knowledge, and we all know about that one. It's the information that we need to have about the subject that we are teaching, and its importance is obvious. He termed a knowledge of how to teach general pedagogical knowledge, and this becomes a little more personal, because most of us develop this skill in a unique way once we are working in the classroom. Knowledge of the curriculum comes in at number 3, and for those of us who are in South Africa, who can forget the caps? An interesting form of knowledge is pedagogical content knowledge, often termed PCK. This is the knowledge that we need to teach particular subjects. It's about knowing the best way to teach a specific subject. Broadly speaking, visual art and mathematics are taught in very different ways, and we know that. And of course, a knowledge of our learners is very important if we hope to reach each one of them and challenge them to develop their own potentials. Schulman includes a knowledge of educational contexts in his list, and this comes very naturally to most of us. We understand the ways that our school functions, the resources that we have available, the kind of backgrounds that our children have, and the broad community in which we work. His final knowledge base is the knowledge of educational ends. In other words, why we are teaching particular topics to children. Since then, 2 other specific knowledge bases have been added by other educational researchers. One is called TPAC, or Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge. And this seems to gain importance as the 4th Industrial Revolution takes hold. Perhaps the final knowledge is the one that is the most important, and is also the one that is often the most neglected: the teacher's knowledge of self. It is so important that we know who we are when we enter the space of teaching and learning, so that we can be authentic with the children. We are their role models. These knowledge bases all contribute to our identities as teachers. We all have them, but obviously in varying degrees. Our values will also influence the way that we approach the learning in each one, the attention that we give it, and the depth that we encourage in its growth. Of significance here is the fact that teacher training institutions are really only able to equip students with content knowledge, and every other kind of teacher knowledge develops and keeps developing once we are practicing in the classroom. This, of course, means that we are actually in control of our own knowledge development and can actively increase the depth of our knowledge by becoming more aware as educators. These knowledge bases are not the only kinds of knowledge that teachers have. There's formal and informal knowledge, explicit and tacit knowledge, and all of these are acquired by teachers at different times and in different ways. We will talk a little more about these in the next video. But for now, reflect a little on how much you actually do know, and about so much. And let it build your self-respect. You deserve it. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you again.